The years spent in the frenzied rhythm of the metropolis had become a kind of test for us. Every day we became more and more aware that the hustle and bustle of the city was suffocating us, preventing us from breathing deeply. We were tired of the endless noise, the constant rush, and the feeling that life was flying by, leaving no time for ourselves. We, two lost travelers, were looking for a quiet harbor where we could find peace and harmony. And this harbor turned out to be very close. A small, cozy village spread out on the shore of the lake. As if by magic, on the very first day of our vacation, we felt how a huge puzzle of our life was beginning to take shape. In silence, surrounded by the sound of waves and the singing of birds, we easily did what previously seemed unbearably difficult. The noise was not distracting. Time passed calmly, and every moment seemed precious. An unexpected discovery was that even in this remote village, it was possible to set up a stable internet connection. In the 20th year, our company switched to remote work, and Luna and I became part of this new reality. I set up advertising campaigns, and she created beauty by designing. We did all of this in a peaceful atmosphere, surrounded by the beauty of nature. The determination born in the gray city quickly turned into action, and as if fate had thrown us a lucky ticket, we came across an advertisement for the sale of a plot that seemed to have been created for us. A lake, a quiet village, a connection, a small shop. Everything we needed was gathered in one place. In addition, the previous tenants had just moved to the city, leaving behind a house in excellent condition, ready to accept new owners. As if by magic, assistants were also found. The realtor quickly and efficiently collected all the necessary documents, helped us secure a profitable mortgage, and arranged the signatures and congratulations. And now, here we were, already standing on the threshold of our cozy house, with things in our hands, not believing our happiness. The first days were spent in the hustle and bustle of unpacking the things we had accumulated over the years of urban life. The old trash left over from the previous tenants was disposed of. Luna cleaned some items of dust and dirt with special patience, turning them into stylish, decorative elements in order to immerse ourselves in a new way of life as soon as possible. We got a week off from the head, fortunately. He treated our move with understanding, congratulated us on our purchase, and let us go for a whole week, asking only that we follow the advertising campaigns for him. It was simple. It was enough to spend part of the evenings working on a laptop. On the third day, we finally felt light and calm. Things were sorted, the house was cleaned, and no fuss required immediate intervention. We drank tea discussing plans for the future. Luna decided to devote some time to work so as not to disrupt the schedule, and I decided to go out into the yard and assess the scope of future work. Looking around the neighborhood, I began to notice more and more minor flaws. Apparently, the former residents had been living here for the last year and had simply turned a blind eye to many little things. Now, these little things were becoming problems that had to be dealt with. "Hello, neighbor," a man's voice rang out from behind the fence, a low grid. I noticed a middle-aged man apparently walking down the street. "Hello," I waved back. "Are they relatives or something? I haven't seen you here before." "Oh no, I bought a house. We just moved in. I'm looking around." "I understand. My name is Ethan." He reached over the fence. "Oh, I bought it. Clear." "I'm Ethan," the man said, shaking my hand firmly. "Well, we'll be neighbors. Come in and have some tea. It would be nice to have a barbecue. Come on, don't put it off. You'll come to me later, to that house with the green roof over there." Ethan pointed to the plot 2 houses down from mine. "I'll tell you everything. Where to buy what? Well, you know. Don't take the whiskey here. No one drinks it here." "Wow, are they all non-drinkers?" I was surprised. "Well, you tell me. We just produce it here ourselves, and Scarlett and Aurora have their own. It will be better. We'll go later, understood?" "Well, great then. I'll come visit as soon as I decide." "Of course. Come in." Ethan waved goodbye to me and was about to go on with his rounds, but got distracted. My wife came out of the house to see what I was doing. Luna, apparently not thinking she could be seen in the yard, jumped out in an almost transparent t-shirt, besides without a bra. Her figure was pleasant. There was something to look at. Her breasts were small but toned, and her round ass was covered with short shorts. "Well, how are you doing here?" Luna asked. "Everything's fine. I'm getting to know the neighbors over there." I showed her Ethan, who was getting closer and not taking his eyes off my wife. "Oh," Luna cried out in surprise and hurried to go into the house. "That's a beauty you have," Ethan praised. "Thanks," she left. "Yes, I must have forgotten something. I decided not to say that my wife went to change clothes." "Oh, it's a pity. Well, let's get to know each other." Ethan waved his hand and still decided to continue his walk without waiting for the beauty to return. Will he come back? I watched him go and thought about it. It was nice to receive such a compliment about my wife. I immediately felt some kind of superiority over the locals, but I did not immerse myself in such thoughts for long. What I really thought about was the housewarming. Indeed, since our arrival, Luna and I had not celebrated anything, although buying a house is a worthy event. It was necessary to fix it urgently, which I decided to tell Luna about. My husband, of course, was only in favor. We still had the weekend off, so we could even afford a drink. Also, we thought it would be a great way to get to know our neighbors. In the village, we hadn't been living here long, which meant that a good relationship would not hurt us. By the end of the day, I already had almost all the information about the village. Ethan introduced me to his friends, who were also older than me, but they were easy to communicate with, so I did not experience any inconvenience. Together, they told me about the approximate way of life, what they do, and took me to the house of the same Scarlet, a voluptuous woman still young in the face. She gave her tincture a taste. Together with Luna, we managed to pull the folding table out into the courtyard. Although it folded, it was still quite heavy, and all the time, it seemed that it was about to fall apart. But in the end, it stood firmly on the ground. The table was set mainly with salads and snacks, and they decided to cook steaks for the hot meal. The neighbors gathered an hour before the appointed time. First, Ethan came up with two of his friends, David and Matthew. Scarlett and her husband were also invited. Aurora, the second woman who made alcohol, was not told to be called. "It seems like the ladies are competing, so you need to stay with them separately," Ethan warned. "Otherwise, expect a scandal." Actually, that's all. The rest were either very old or worked. The men came early because they wanted a drink. Luna and I didn't mind. I greeted everyone, after which my wife and I had to knock back a glass for housewarming toast. Only after that was I allowed to roast the meat, and Luna was seated at the table and asked about her life, work, and plans. Ethan came up to me periodically, holding 2 glasses in his hands. The others were drinking at the table, including his wife, while I was standing near the barbecue. Ethan made sure that I didn't miss anything either. It was getting fun, and soon Scarlett and her husband, a short, quiet man named Luke, came up. As soon as he drank, he came to stand near the barbecue, while the others made noise at the table. We had a pleasant, calm conversation. When it got dark and all the meat was cooked, everyone was really drunk. The atmosphere was conducive to letting yourself relax. Finally, a private house and a pleasant company gathered. The men were constantly joking about the ladies, and everyone was laughing. The jokes were a little vulgar, but under alcohol, they flew with a bang. A couple of times, I noticed how Ethan or one of his friends sat down with the ladies, and their hand often dropped from their shoulder to their chest and squeezed it. But the lady didn't seem to mind. She laughed and talked, not noticing anything. Scarlett's husband was sitting next to me complaining. I decided that maybe it was just my imagination, but then I noticed that he was sitting next to Luna in a similar way, an uncomplicated hug on the shoulder, after which his palm casually slid onto her chest. On top of that, Luna had come home an hour ago to take off her bride because of the hot weather. No matter how much I looked at my wife, I didn't see any dissatisfaction. Luna did not react to the touch. I was a little tense, but I'm not a fan of scandals. In principle, I try not to conflict with anyone in my life. Soon I noticed that Scarlett had gone arm in arm with Matthew, one of Ethan's friends. I didn't understand where they went, so I decided to ask Luke, but he just waved them off, saying that they probably went for a walk to get some fresh air. I looked at everyone at the table, jokes, laughter, noise, and no one paid any attention to the departed couple. The men, on the contrary, tried to communicate more with Luna. but it became very interesting to me. So I decided to follow the couple to see what they were doing by the lake. As soon as I reached the gate, Ethan's voice rang out behind me, inviting Luna to dance. It turned out that someone had brought a speaker. Maybe I should have stayed and watched my wife, but by that time, I was in danger of missing everything interesting. I trusted Luna, so I walked to the lake anyway. The neighbors, overcome with passion, sought solitude in the silence of the garden. The grass, soft and silky, became their bed where they surrendered to their feelings. The lovers didn't notice me, and I didn't try to get closer. My heart was fluttering. The premonition was confirmed. I knew that something was wrong between Ethan and Scarlett. Their secret meetings, modest attempts to hide from prying eyes, all indicated that their relationship had crossed the line. Now, seeing them in each other's arms, I was convinced of my suspicions. Luke, blind with love, probably did not even notice how his wife was walking to the left and did not hide it. Passion, like a wave, receded, leaving behind a quiet fatigue. Ethan, gently helping Scarlett to get up, looked at her with love and satisfaction. Well, that's it. Call Luke again. Let him come, otherwise I won't have enough, Scarlett's voice rang out. It looks like he has new plans, Ethan replied. But who's going to let him? She muttered, barely holding back her laughter. This girl walks with her hoodie by the hand, and she doesn't care about others. Tell him to leave, or I won't give him anything else today, Scarlett continued. The conversation surprised me, and if I hadn't been drunk, I would have been worried. But the plans of the village men made me smile. I went back to the yard to avoid meeting Ethan. The moon was dancing fervently, and David was circling around her. It seemed to me that, when I entered, her t-shirt was pulled up, and she was bouncing on the arms that were hugging her from behind. But it was over instantly, apparently because of my arrival. I decided I was imagining it. Soon, Ethan came in and called David over to him. At that moment, I was watching Luke, knowing perfectly well what the men were talking about, but I didn't notice any reaction. He just poured another glass and offered it to me. I agreed. How fun it is, my love. Did you go somewhere? My drunken wife landed on my side. Okay, let's get some air. Is everything okay with you? Everything is fine. I'm a little tired of dancing, but it's fun. I haven't rested like this for a long time. Luna also pushed a glass at me, demanding more. Are men behaving normally? Luna broke into a smile and looked at me with incomprehension. Dan, don't worry, my love. I only love you. They're just fools. I realized that now I wasn't waiting for anything intelligible from my wife. I poured her a glass, and the three of us drank. Turning around, I saw that Luke was calling me. I had to come over. In short, it's $1 million deal, he stammered to me. What is it? I was curious. Just be quiet. He came closer and leaned into my ear. Do you want Scarlett? I almost jumped away from him. I did not expect such an offer. Dan, what are you saying? I'm married. So what? Luke stared at me in surprise. We'll keep an eye on your Luna. I nodded in agreement, walked him to the gate, and decided it was time to return to the table. Turning around, I stood rooted to the spot. My Luna was sitting on David's lap and kissing him, leaving a hickey. The numbness was replaced by an outburst of rage. Everything seemed to freeze. Even the wind stopped stirring the leaves. At that moment, I just decided to stop this circus and show my attitude toward what was happening with a couple of punches. A week later, I put the house up for sale, and I only saw Luna through lawyers. Cheating Secrets podcast like me.